Does what our food is exposed to affect our weight? It's the topic of today's viewer mail. For 22 News Register dietitian Nancy Dell. Thank you for joining us, Nancy.
Thank you.
All right, our first question. Sarah wrote in, I eat well and exercise, yet I struggle with my weight. I heard chemicals in my food and the environment may affect my weight. And she asks, how is that?
Well, more and more studies, good studies, suggest that weight gain is not only about eating too many sweets and sitting around playing computer games. One of the many factors that affect our weight may be chemicals in our food and environment called endocrine disruptors. These chemicals mimic hormones. Hormones tell our bodies what to do: eat or don't eat, store fat or burn fat. The environmental chemicals confuse our body, telling it to make more and larger fat cells. In one study, researchers took mice that were genetically the same and gave them the same food and same chance to exercise. Some became fat and some became slim. The only difference? At birth, the fat mice were exposed to a very small amount, 1 part per billion, of a chemical that mimics hormones. Experts say the brief exposure to those hormones programmed the mice to store fat long after the chemical was gone. A second study found that a fungicide used on many foods, including leafy green vegetables, caused obesity in mice. And yet another study found that women with a pesticide residue in their blood had babies who were more likely to be overweight by 14 months old. The Presidential Task Force on Childhood Obesity acknowledges that there are about 20 chemicals that may affect our weight in the environment. One expert from the University of California has called these chemicals obesogens. They include chemicals in plastic and cans that leach into our food and pesticides that are used on food. So store your foods, even water, in glass and buy organic foods when you can.
All right, are some people more vulnerable than others to this?
Yes, it's most important to avoid exposure to these chemicals for a fetus and a child before puberty. Experts say doctors need to warn pregnant women about certain chemicals. In one survey, only 19% of doctors warned pregnant women about pesticides. Only 8% warned them about BPA in some plastics in receipts. And only about 5% warned them about phthalates, which are chemicals in cosmetics and shampoos. And just an FYI, there is a Safe Chemicals Act in Congress, but it's been stalled for a long time.
All right,
we've got to get these things out of our environment.
Worth some following up, too. If you have a question for Nancy, write to her via the address on your screen or via our website at wwlp.com.